this video, we're going to consider some of the implications for media industries that came from the turn to a neoliberal approach to the economy outlined in the previous video. One major impact was the concentration of media ownership into fewer and fewer hands, both within nations and across the world. For example, between 1983 and 2012, 90% of US media went from being owned by 50 companies to being owned by just 6 companies. And globally, the current media landscape is dominated by a limited range of conglomerates, such as AT&T, which along with being the largest mobile and fixed telephone provider in the US, now also owns the former media conglomerate Time Warner and all its holdings, which it bought for $85 billion in 2018. Alphabet, which owns Google and YouTube. Comcast, another giant telecom company which bought a media conglomerate, purchasing NBC Universal in 2011. The Walt Disney Company, which was already a giant media conglomerate but has grown through the acquisitions of Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and most significantly the media conglomerate 21st Century Fox, which it bought for $71 billion in 2019. And Facebook, which extended its dominance of social media by purchasing Instagram for $1 billion in 2012 and WhatsApp for $19 billion in 2014. Much of our media consumption in New Zealand is dominated by these companies' platforms and/or content. In addition, locally produced news media, radio and television is for the moment dominated by 4 companies: Stuff, NZME, Sky TV and MediaWorks, all with holdings across different media, along with the government-owned TVNZ, RNZ and Māori TV, which we'll discuss in more depth in video 5. What effect then might this concentration of ownership have on our media? Well, in terms of entertainment, it encourages the production of content that can take the form of franchises that span a number of media in which the conglomerate has holdings, maximising the profit available and the opportunities for cross-promotion. Many of the major media conglomerates have film studios as part of their portfolio, for example, and the main aim of Disney's acquisition policy has been to have the rights to as many transmedia franchises as possible. Within this context, as Nicholas Garnham explains, the film becomes only one ingredient in a multimedia package in which each element is not only profit-earning in its own right, but serves as publicity for every other part of the package. This privileges films in the marketplace that are produced by conglomerates and that lend themselves to such transmedia iteration, making life harder for films that don't have the same backing or transmedia potential. And we can see evidence of this in Disney's record year at the global box office in 2019, making around $13 billion from the latest releases in a set of pre-existing franchises formed out of their Marvel, Star Wars and Pixar holdings, along with their own back catalogue. Concerns have also been raised regarding the potential political influence residing with these conglomerates, given how much media they oversee. Such concerns are particularly pertinent regarding the news media channels of these conglomerates, and much of this debate has historically surrounded Fox News. For many years, Fox News was one part of Rupert Murdoch's giant media conglomerate News Corporation, and the documentary Out Fox, for example, looks at the way in which Rupert Murdoch has exerted influence over Fox News via agenda-setting memos or the recruitment of a majority of staff with right-wing political leanings, all under the tagline of a fair and balanced approach to the news. Fox News is now part of the much smaller Fox Corporation, but is still owned by Rupert Murdoch and run by his son Lachlan, after he split up his empire, selling his entertainment holdings as 21st Century Fox to Disney, whilst retaining control of his press and publishing holdings under the 2 companies Fox Corp and News Corp. Questions surrounding the Murdochs' political influence over Fox News thus still remain. Now, advocates of a free market could argue that even if there is bias, the audience can simply switch channels or media if they don't like the news that Fox presents. However, a political economy model stresses that increasing concentration of ownership has diminished the variety of voices and opinions that are represented, resulting in a lack of real choice for audiences. We're going to think about this debate in a bit more depth in the next video.